Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. Last week I had the opportunity to meet with more than a dozen college and university presidents from my district and surrounding districts to discuss primarily the issue of the high cost of tuition, the high cost of higher education, and ultimately then the cost to students with, as we've discussed here numerous times, the cost of loan debt. We know that the Department of Education requires these colleges and universities to collect a great deal of information and then to report that information to the department. That level of reporting, according to them, continues to grow. And so I would ask Mr. Secretary, since it ultimately comes back to the student, paying the freight for all that goes on in education, including excessive reporting, if that be the case. Has anyone in your department looked at the financial impact of all of this record keeping and what it's costing not only the universities and colleges, but the students?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We look at that very closely, and I would encourage you, and I do this all the time when I meet with college presidents, where we have regulations that are redundant or burdensome or compliance-orientated, not adding any value, please let me personally know that very directly. And those are the kinds of things we don't want to continue to impose on folks. And so where it's helpful, where it's useful information, we want to do that. But where there's unneeded burden there, please hold me personally accountable for challenging that. So dollars are scarce. We don't want to waste time. We don't want to waste resources. We want them focused on increasing completion rates, not on paperwork that doesn't make sense. So
I'll be glad to do that. I appreciate that offer, and I will share that, certainly. But
it's hard.
Do you have any illustrations of what you are doing right now to reduce some of that?
Yeah, we can walk through a series of things. My challenge is often when I ask this question, I don't get back concrete, specific to-dos. And so again, the more specific you can be that, this piece of data or this whatever, we're asking it 3 times, we're doing it in the wrong way. So the more concrete you can be, that'd be helpful. A bigger issue is obviously this idea of college costs. And frankly, we can reduce paperwork. That's not the driver of college costs there. We've done a lot with FAFSA simplification to make it easier for folks to apply for financial aid. Part of the President's proposal is a race to the top for higher education that would incentivize 3 things. Incentivize states to continue to invest. This has to be about shared responsibility. Incentivize universities to keep down their own costs. Some are doing it really well, others frankly aren't. And to incentivize universities to build cultures not just around access, but around completion. The goal can't be to go to college. The goal has to be to help people graduate the back end. So we want to be a partner, and that's one, part of what we're proposing to Congress.
Well, let me go on to Pell, since we mentioned FAFSA and the programs to help students with tuition cost. I recently heard from several financial aid officers in my district that they're concerned about fraud in the Pell Grant program. This isn't new to you. Information, I'm certainly. Either people are enrolling in community colleges simply to get access to student aid dollars with no intention of ever trying to complete an academic program, or they're fraudulently enrolling to simply take the money and run. Can you point to some specific actions that this administration has done to clamp down on fraud within the Pell Grant programs?
So fraud rings are a real concern, and it's real money out there. So I have a list of 10. I won't read them all to you, but in October 2011, we issued a Dear Colleague letter to the school community addressing the findings that came from the OIG. We've established an anti-fraud ring task force chaired by Jeff Baker to address the issues raised in that report. We've created a mailbox and a call line if folks have the information there. We're developing a process for schools to review and flag unusual enrollment activities that lead to, often are early indicators of potential fraud rings. I can go through a whole series of things. So we take this very, very seriously. If there are additional ideas or actions we should be taking, happy to consider.
Is there any move to tie FAFSA reporting to the IRS records, the tax records, so that we don't have redundancies, we don't have mistakes, in unintentional or intentional fraud in applications?
So the IRS can pre-populate those things. So that's a piece of it, but it goes beyond that.
Well, I'd hope that we would get to ways that we can really reduce the subjectivity of reporting and make sure that students, parents and otherwise know that what they give is accurate information.
So we'll share with you and your staff what we are doing, and if you have suggestions on how ways we can do it better, I'd be very happy to hear them.
Okay. Thank you. I yield back.